blanket of snow on the ground. It's perfect weather for a hearty, plant-based beef stew. This is a recipe that I adapted from an item that I used to call Pseudo Osso Bucco. But this version is 100% vegan, fat-free, and whole food. Served with the gnocchi that we made previously, garnished with oil-free Gremolata and a vegan parmesan, you will have an easy, elegant meal that will rival any Italian dining establishment. Welcome back to Comfort Food Farms, the plant-based home cooking channel. If we haven't met before, I'm Kari Greger. I'm glad you've joined us. Let's get into it. I'm measuring out 1 pound of mushrooms so that I can rinse them off, get all the little bits of soil off of them and get them cleaned up. We need 1 small onion, 1 clove of garlic, and 1 rib of celery, and 1 carrot that's going to be all minced up. I am going to use my spin chopper to do this because it will pulverize it. We want this really finely minced. The roasting of these vegetables in the frying pan is what gives this stew the wonderful caramelized flavor. So it's important to get these vegetables very finely chopped. This spin chopper is a very handy device. I will put a link to it in the description below. I already have some garlic minced up, so I'm just going to add 3/4 of a teaspoon to the carrot mixture here and spin that in. I need another medium-sized onion, just coarsely chopped, just the pieces that you would want to have in the stew, that size. The mushrooms have drained nicely, so I'm going to slice them up. 2 carrots, 2 stalks of celery, and 2 potatoes to be chopped up. I love these flexible cutting boards. Link in the description below. I like to mix up the spices ahead of time so that I don't have to worry about that later. We have 1 teaspoon of dried rosemary, 1/2 teaspoon of Italian seasoning, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, and in the center, 1 teaspoon of thyme, ground thyme, 1/2 teaspoon of oregano, and 1/2 teaspoon of sage. I just put everything together into a cup and then I'll be able to add it to the soup later. Next, we have 1/2 teaspoon of salt, optional, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, 1 tablespoon of brown sugar, optional, and 3 1/4 teaspoons of vegan bouillon powder. You exclude this if you're going to use vegetable broth instead of water in the recipe. It adds a very nice flavor though. This is the brand of broth seasoning that I use. It's vegan, but it says it tastes beef flavored, and they do a very nice job of it. I'll put a link in the description below. Turning your Instant Pot on to sauté. Push the sauté button. Then you can adjust it so you can have less normal or more heat. So we're going to put it up to heat because we want to fry this. We'll leave it on for 30 minutes. You just use the plus or minus sign to adjust the amount of time. We have our finely minced vegetables. We're going to add those to the Instant Pot. It's been heating up for a little bit, and we're going to let those steam in their own juices. You just have to very loosely put the lid on so that it doesn't shut off, because the Instant Pot is not supposed to have the lid on when the fry or saute feature is being engaged. So it will beep funny, it won't let you, it'll shut that off, whatever it does. So you just I just kind of put it on there so it keeps the steam in there and keeps it heating. I'm checking it all the time. I do not leave it unattended. All right, going to add the mushrooms. I did this out of order. I made a mistake. I was supposed to put in the onions first, but I put in the mushrooms. The mushrooms are going to release so much moisture. I do have 1/4 cup of water in this recipe to help you with the vegetables, but these vegetables were so moist and so juicy, I didn't need to add any
any water additionally, I had a hard time cooking off the water to get the browned bits in the bottom, which is what I'm going to be doing here. I just keep checking it. There you can see. Now we're starting to get a little bit of vegetables sticking to the bottom. And we want to get it nice and roasted and browned. Those nice brown bits, that's where the flavor is. Once I have lots of nice flavor bits in the bottom, I'm going to add the drained and rinsed pinto beans. I'm also now going to put in the spice mix. All of our flavoring is going in. And as you can see, the moisture has pulled off a lot of the brown bits at the bottom.
The mushrooms and the beans, or the vegan beef shreds, we're using them as the meat in this recipe. I've seen others use large carrot chunks to achieve the osso bucco effect. I'm sure that would work too. We humans cannot taste the animal protein. As Dr. McDougall says, we don't have the taste buds for it. Please see the link to his article in the description below if you want more information about that. So, we just taste the seasonings and the flavors added to the meat. If we can duplicate the flavor, we don't need to miss our pre-plant-based meals. Also, I have noted in the printable recipe link below alternatives for the wines and seasonings to taste. Because when you make it yourself, you have total control over the fat, salt, and sugar. Is that good information? Give me a thumbs up below, subscribe, and ring the bell so you know when another video is posted.
Time to deglaze the pan. Although there is not much to deglaze because the brown bits are cleaned off almost. But I'm going to add the half cup of white Zinfandel wine. And what you're supposed to do is stir this around until you've loosened all the brown bits at the bottom. Like I said, we don't have very many. Now, half a cup of cooking sherry. This alcohol cooks off, but the flavor adds so much. Throw in 2 teaspoons of Worcester sauce and 1 tablespoon of balsamic vinegar. Give it a stir. I'm going to add the water. Now, you can use vegetable broth, like I said, and then you wouldn't be using the bouillon powder. There. In goes the 1 can of diced tomatoes and 1 can of tomato sauce, 8-ounce can. So that was 1.5 cups of water. Now all of our vegetables, in they go. And 1 cup of frozen peas. Give it all a stir. Doesn't it look beautiful? Make sure that the Instant Pot is on the seal section. I'm going to use the meat stew feature. I want it on high pressure. You push the adjust button to move it to high pressure and the plus and minus button to adjust the time. I'm going to do this for 12 minutes at high pressure. I keep that on my meat stew because I'm not doing meat anyway. I might as well just have my Instant Pot pre-programmed. While that is cooking, I'm going to make the Gremolata. Here's the Instant Pot finished. I'm going to mix the tablespoon of cornstarch into a little bit of water, probably a couple of tablespoons of water, just enough to get the cornstarch to mix in. The Instant Pot is still hot enough so the cornstarch will thicken. All I had to do was stir it in. And we dish it up on top of our freshly boiled gnocchi. It's a beautiful stew. Beautiful osso bucco.
Yum! I tell you, this looks really good. We've got the carrots, the peas. When you do it in the Instant Pot, it doesn't drain it all of the color. You know, this hasn't been roasting for hours and hours and losing all the beautiful color that is in the vegetables. And we've got this lovely Gremolata, oil-free,
Oh, the garlic and the lemon, it just is wonderful. I'm gonna put a little bit of that on there. I could top it with a little bit of parmesan if that's to my taste. Let me see here. I'm gonna take a little bit of the garnish and taste this. Those flavors. This tastes like a very fancy meal, especially with the gnocchi. You could put it on top of potatoes or pasta, even rice would work. Whatever other kind of starch that you wanted, or you could just have it straight out of the bowl as beef stew. But this presentation makes it very elegant. It's a very fancy meal without being too fancy. There's not a whole lot of work involved. If you've done the gnocchi ahead of time, if you made a big batch of gnocchi, you've got that in the freezer, just pull it out, cook it up, throw some stew on it. I have put the stew, the beef stew, in portion size containers for the freezer, and so this is going to be 5 minutes in the microwave and boil a few gnocchi, and then ta-da, fancy meal. It's great. If you found some good information in this video, please give me a comment below, like the video, subscribe, and ring the bell so you know when another vegan plant-based recipe is posted. Let me know what you think. Give it a try. Thanks for watching.